Well, hello guys, welcome back. So YouTube hit us with a bunch of new roles today, and I couldn't get any monetization going, so I took a lot of content down. And basically, what happened lately was Loki capitulates to Odin, and Odin sometimes takes that as largesse. We have new roles. Here with me. And, that happened. And we had to get it settled out as a family. And Odin said, absolutely, Odin's claim still stands. This is still a Nordic household. He doesn't care what else went on today. He's not even mad. Actually, I think he found it admirable that I took Loki's side, but, in the back of my head too, I know Loki. I know Loki likes to do his little snips and snipes, and who actually started what and who did what, I don't know. It's not like I saw anything, I just felt the end result. Very well could have been that Loki went over and teased Odin until Odin blew a stack, and then Loki got exactly what he deserved, and Loki shouldn't have had anybody take his side, but I don't know what happened. I'm getting kind of this sense of, because it had occurred to me, I had some vague insight that, maybe Loki started it this time, but, I didn't act on it. And maybe he started it, maybe he didn't, but it's done now. It's done. Some people will say that our gods are ascended masters and they will therefore never fight. And then the rest of us, it's like you're pulling children apart and they're going at each other. It was definitely somebody wasn't happy about something, and I said to Odin, I said, next time, if it was, I don't know what it was about. I said, if it's about me, come to me, come to me. If we have an argument, we have an argument. Fine, we argue all the time, as you can tell. And I realized now why he stopped me on the poster. Poster looked familiar to me. And at first I thought, well, it's on Amazon, so it must be a legit art studio, right? And they must have the permission to do this. And then I went and I checked it, and it had been up on Northern Paganism, and it was of the Allfather, and this place on Amazon is just using it. I didn't see the artist credited, and he never signed the art that I'm aware of, because I found out where he legitimately sells prints. And it was not something Odin wanted anyhow. It wasn't that the art wasn't beautiful or he didn't like it. It was he wanted me to do something for the cabinets, and he wanted me to do it on my own. And so I used trivets we have, which it's kind of nice. They look kind of Slavic or Nordic or vaguely German, so they do look nice. They were all mass produced in China, fortunately, I think, but they look the design looks like they could be, Slavic. So we did that for an art project. Hopefully they stay up. If not, I'm gonna have to get little hooks or something. You're not supposed to put stuff on your cabinets, so I'm going into unknown territory. But, we're back to a Nordic only household. And Odin said, you gave your oath. And I looked in the runes and I got Manas reversed. And it's basically like you're being greedy and you're being selfish. And the gods had sent me a little emissary, and I killed the gods' little emissary. But I looked up the message after. That's the important part. And Odin watched the emissary get swept down the sink with steaming hot water. And he goes, with the little fighter, huh? And I said, yeah, that's so sad. You can see him in Valhalla in a second. And he laughed. So that happened. So it was about, stuff takes time. You have to be persistent and don't rush, because whether you believe it's the universe, the Buddha, the tree outside, Loki, or Odin, if they start sending you messages, either through however you believe in getting messages, whether you believe in numbers or spotting animals or YouTube playlist or whatever, I was once told, if you don't take a feather, you'll get a baseball bat. And if you don't take a baseball bat, you'll get a brick wall. They don't escalate that quickly, but they will keep showing you more and more and more. And Odin's like, as far as Odin's concerned, this is still a Nordic household. He understands why I got upset, and he actually, I think, kind of admired that I took Loki's side in it, because I was doing what Odin taught me to do, and he teaches all of his people to do. If you see evil, blah blah blah. And he thought that, I saw Odin being in the wrong, and of course, the only right thing to do was to defend Loki. But they also have to have room to work out stuff on their own. I don't know whether or not Loki should have come to me. I have no idea what it was about, and it's really none of my business, but Loki did. And then Loki was apologizing all day, because I get the idea Loki wasn't supposed to come to me with it. It was supposed to be something between those two. But They don't have a problem with you knowing that because you might as well talk to people. Sometimes your gods will get into a fight, and his fox got knocked down, and then other stuff was going real strange, and then I was putting up this art and it wasn't staying up. That's why I said wish me luck with this art. I don't know if it's just natural laws and gravity, or Loki was going frantic because Loki, had caused the house to try to be open. It felt like it was open for a microsecond. Odin shut that back down, which is his right. I made a promise to him, and this is where I tell you watch your damn fool promises with the gods, because if they want to collect on that promise, they can't. They can't. There's no such thing as a witch or a priest or anyone else that can get you out of anything. The most you could do, like say you promised to one of the Norse gods, the most you could do is find a legitimate priest or priestess in the religion, a legitimate one, not someone that claims to be a one. You'd have to go to a hof or something and say, I made a promise to so and so, and you foolishly promised perhaps to serve them for the rest of your life, or to only serve the Norse gods, or whatever you promised. Then you have to say, I want out. And then the gods might say, okay, you can get out, but here's the payment I want. But you want to go through something like that, and if you can't get to a hof or something, then ask for signs of, okay, I made you this promise. I know I made this promise, but this was a foolish promise. I promised it because I was emotional, or I make promises too easy. You might be one of those people who makes promises left, right, and center, and see what it is that they need for you to get out of the promise. A lifetime is a long time, so that's why some people that frown on a certain idea of being wedded to a god, that's why they frown on it, because that if you're committing for a lifetime and then 2 weeks later you can't stand each other, a lifetime is an awful long time. Whether you decide to part mutually, or they always decide, hey, now that you've made this bond with me, I get to cash in whenever I feel like it. You have to think that through before you agree to any kind of contract with any god, whether you see it as an oath as a heathen, or you just see it as a promise, or you see your word being your bond. If you get the reputation of your word means absolutely nothing, the gods will know that, and they will tell each other. If you get a reputation of having a hard time, but ultimately ending up and keeping your word, then the gods will see that too. Odin's not even mad. I don't get an idea he's gonna do anything, because he knew I was mad at myself because he knew I wanted to keep the Norse household, but at the same time, he knew that if it was a bad environment for Loki, I wasn't going to let that stand either. So really, I was caught in the middle, and he understood that, and he's like, that's fine, that's acceptable. I shouldn't have been put in the middle is what the thing was. I'm not mad at Loki though. Loki's a big baby. He'll come over to you for just absolutely anything. And it was just something that we had to work through as a family. But in lighter news, we had bought bread and didn't realize we bought wheat bread because they changed the keep gas station up here changes owners like every 2 weeks. And I only had that cheese whiz because they don't sell cheese or anything up there anymore. And that powdered cheese you get in a shaker. So Parmesan, I put a little of that on, 2 sandwiches, and I fried some eggs up, and I put the eggs on there, and then I put those on the pan, and I fried those up, and I made sandwiches, and we nibbled on those for a while. So I made egg and cheese sandwiches, and that was a good treat because we haven't had something like that in at least a year. So that was a good treat for us. So, to recap, you just have to watch when you make a promise to the gods. Some have a reputation, especially the old man, especially the Norse gods, of expecting you to come through on it. Now, some are more understanding. I've found the Vanir especially understand passionate emotions, and if you make a foolish promise, they won't hold you to it in most cases. They might get disappointed, they might work out as a group. Like if you've made a bunch of promises to a bunch of gods in, say, one pantheon, they might get together and go, well, it's obvious you can't hold all the promises. And then they find the one or two that it's acceptable for you to hold your promises to those. But then you'll get a fine lecture on this is why you don't hand out a bunch of foolish promises. So, like, if you promise to be priestess to like 8 different gods, and then you're swamped and you can't deal with it, then you have to go to them and say, look, I know what I promised, but I didn't realize you'd all want something all the time. So, it's Odin has been negotiating down, and he says, if you're going to get more serious in service, you even have to cut down in the Norse pantheon. You can't have like 20 Norse gods and expect to serve them all, because, once a god gets the idea that you're going to serve them, they're going to be coming and visiting you more and more. He said, you can't handle 20, you can't even handle 10. It isn't that I can't occasionally talk to those other gods, but he's definitely like, you have to make your list of your top gods, who you're going to start serving and working with seriously. And he expects that list on his desk yesterday. So I have told him the four that I want that aren't negotiable are Sigyn and Loki and Odin and Frigg. I said those four are non-negotiable. I said my next two would be Odin, yeah, Odin, Thor, because we have such a good relationship. And I said, then I really want to keep the sixth slot open. I said, I want to think very carefully, because I have had a good relationship with Fenrir, but we're not together all the time. Most of the Jotnar have pulled back, understandably. Somebody that's not very fond of a lot of people is in residence. I've worked with Njord, and do I want to keep him in that sixth slot? It's not like he said I'm down to six slots, but he is indicating he wants a number between, you know, something and something, definitely 20 or less. He doesn't want 20, because that would be way too many gods to handle. So let's say I could talk him down to 15. It would still be a hell of a lot of gods to serve. And usually we don't have conversations like this, because you usually don't get too many gods that get pretty serious like Odin does. Odin's like, nope, you're gonna make a list, and these are gonna be the ones you work with. It's not that I can't ever work with anyone else in the pantheon, but he goes, if you're going to serve us and you're going to be serious, keep in mind these gods can get you up any time of the day or night and get you to serve them. He says you got to think real carefully how many gods you want to let have that privilege of being able to wake you up at 2 a.m. for something. I said, if we're going to do it that way, you and Loki are enough. I'll be down to 2. And he says, well, I want you to think about it. So I said maybe 4 or 5 at most then. So we have to decide. And it doesn't mean I don't love the other gods, but as Odin gets more serious and pushes me further ahead, he's like, you're not going to have enough hours in a day to serve a bunch of different gods. You got to get that list cut down. And I want to see it on my desk in the morning, just about. So, to recap, YouTube hit us with a bunch of new rules. I'm going to have to be super careful with how I word things. We had some family drama, but that has been taken care of, and hopefully I have some new art that's going to stay. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.